In a small, bustling town nestled between rolling hills, an elderly man, known for his profound wisdom, decided to gather the community for a lesson that would forever change their perspectives on life. The sun was setting, casting a warm golden hue across the square, and townsfolk of all ages arrived, curious about what the old man had to share. He stood before them holding a large empty jar, along with three seemingly simple items: pebbles, sand, and water. With a gentle smile, he began his demonstration. Carefully, he placed the pebbles into the jar first, one by one. As he did, he explained, these pebbles represent the most important aspects of life: our family, our health, our true passions, and the relationships that nourish our souls. Without these foundational elements, everything else loses its significance. The townsfolk watched intently, nodding in understanding as they reflected on their own lives and what they held dear. Next, the elderly man poured in the sand, letting it fill the spaces between the pebbles. This sand symbolizes the lesser priorities, your jobs, daily tasks, and all those responsibilities that often consume our time. While these are necessary and deserve our attention, they shouldn't overshadow the bigger picture. The crowd began to murmur among themselves, recognizing how often they had allowed their busy lives to overshadow the things that truly mattered. Finally, he picked up a pitcher filled with water and began to fill the jar to the brim. And this water represents the trivial distractions that fill our days: social media, mindless television, and the endless scrolls through our phones. These seem urgent, but in reality, they contribute little to our happiness and fulfillment. As the water settled around the pebbles and sand, the jar appeared full, and the townsfolk exchanged glances, convinced that there was no more room for anything else. With a twinkle in his eye, the elderly man reached for a bag of more pebbles, surprising everyone. One by one, he began adding them to the jar, and to the amazement of the crowd, they slipped in effortlessly, demonstrating that there is always room for more important things if you just make space for them. You see, he said, this is the essence of life. If you fill your jar with sand or water first, there's no room for the pebbles. But if you focus on the essential, your pebbles, you'll always find room for more. As the townsfolk absorbed his words, the atmosphere shifted. They began to reflect on their own lives, how often they prioritized the small stuff over their loved ones, their dreams, and their passions. The realization struck them. They had been letting life's trivialities overshadow the truly meaningful moments. The elderly man continued, life is much like this jar. If you spend all your time and energy on the trivial, you'll never have room for what truly matters. But when you prioritize the pebbles, the sand and water will find their place. The lesson resonated deeply within each person present, sparking conversations that would linger long after the sun had set. Families discussed their priorities during dinner, friends made plans to spend quality time together, and individuals began to reevaluate their commitments, considering what truly enriched their lives. As the gathering drew to a close, the elderly man encouraged everyone to take their newfound wisdom into the world. Remember, he said, the jar of life is yours to fill. Choose wisely what you allow to occupy your time and energy. With that, the townsfolk left, carrying not just the memory of the lesson, but also a renewed sense of purpose. They vowed to fill their jars wisely, cherishing the pebbles that made their lives genuinely fulfilling. From that day forward, they approached each moment with intention and mindfulness, ensuring they prioritized what mattered most. As the seasons changed and years went by, the impact of that evening remained. The community grew closer, friendships deepened, and families flourished. Each person, in their own way, learned to embrace the richness of life, ensuring they would never see their lives the same way again. In their hearts, they carried the wisdom of the jar, a reminder to focus on the pebbles and to fill their lives with love, purpose, and joy.